A few months ago, I was happy, excited. I had just gotten promoted, and I was in a new expanded role. I was on cloud 9. And then things started to go south. I was in a meeting with my Scrum team talking about product strategy, roadmap. I brought up timelines. We don't have to talk about that. This was Mike, a new manager who had joined the team. Excuse me? I thought. Out aloud, I said nothing. Couple of days later, same thing happened. This time in sprint planning. I was explaining why something is high priority. Because our leadership says so. Mike cut me off. Weeks following that, Mike started challenging the priorities I was setting for the team. And then he started trying to overrule them. He's new. He doesn't know what he's doing, I told myself. This doesn't bother me, I told myself. But the truth was, it really bothered me. I felt dismissed, disrespected. And while I was seething inside, outside, I stayed silent. Why? Why didn't I say something? To avoid conflict. I was afraid to pick a fight. What if I'm wrong? I am a generalist and he is a technologist. What if my opinions are not valid? What if everybody else sides with him? I was afraid of losing face. What will people think about me? I'm nice. My team likes me. I can't be difficult. I can't be confrontational. It will tarnish my brand. And I hated the way conflict made me feel. Made me feel stressed, anxious, insecure. Feelings I wanted to avoid. So I avoided conflict by staying quiet. Have any of you held back for these reasons? For product managers, conflict is a huge part of our job. Conflict about my vision, roadmap, priorities. Our role is to influence without authority. And these people we are trying to influence, they have their own goals, their own agendas. Conflict comes with the territory. And yet, many product managers, especially women product managers, avoid conflict. Avoiding conflict makes us feel safe. The safety is an illusion because conflict doesn't go away. It escalates. A few weeks later, Mike sent me a note. If I wanted to change priorities in the backlog, I had to go through him. He was taking over the product backlog, my product backlog. Anxiety? Forget anxiety. The mad rage I felt when I read that email. How dare he? But I knew the answer to that because I hadn't stopped him. A few weeks ago, this would have been a conversation about his behavior. Now, I would need to talk to him about my role. The reasons we avoid conflict are exactly the reasons why we should be embracing them. Yes, product managers are generalists. That is our unique value proposition. Nobody brings in the perspective that we do. Not engaging in conflict will also tarnish your brand. In fact, in a more serious way. How many leaders do you know who are seen as weak, pushovers, too nice? I'm guessing not many. And yes, conflict feels awful. I'll tell you what feels worse. Knowing I did not do my best. The shame of giving into fear. If we want to be leaders, fearless leaders, game changers, we have to learn to deal with conflict. There is no way around it. So how do we do it? How do we engage in conflict in a way that's effective but still feels safe? We build the safety by grounding ourselves in what we know. Next time you're in a conflict, Ask yourself two questions that only you can answer. How confident am I? If you can clearly articulate what you stand for and why, you should be highly confident. If your point of view is based on intuition, feeling, then maybe your confidence is low, and that's okay. The second question, how high are the stakes for me? If this impacts something you care about, your product, your relationship, stakes are high. If you don't care about the outcome, stakes are low. Let the answers to these two questions guide how you respond. So let's look at the 4 possibilities, starting with high confidence, low stakes. Great place to be in. Think of something like defect prioritization. You have a good sense of priority. It's a reversible decision. For conflicts of this nature, look up to Claire Underwood from House of Cards. How many of you guys know Claire? Yeah? She's a very smart and crafty politician. If Claire was in a conflict about defect prioritization, she would be flexible. She would try to earn goodwill by maybe giving in. So, be flexible. Low confidence, low stakes. Also, not a bad spot to be in. A few weeks ago, on my team, there was a conflict on the topic of idempotency. I have no expertise on that subject and also very little interest. So what did I do? I pretended to be Phoebe from Friends. I shrugged it off. Not my drama. These conflicts are not worth your time. Let them go. You have bigger fish to fry. This next one. High stakes, high confidence. This is your winning spot. This is something important that you are an expert in. Your product strategy, your roadmap, your voice really counts here. For conflicts in this area, be like Olivia Pope from Scandal. For those of you who don't know Olivia, she is a tenacious woman. She does her homework and she stands up for what she believes in. So be like Olivia. Speak up with conviction. And this last one, high stakes, low confidence. This is the one that requires most courage, most work. At PayPal, where I work, there was a conflict about one of our main APIs. Should we do a major version upgrade, or is a minor one good enough? I did not know enough to have a strong opinion, but I did know this was too important to just go with the flow. I had to put in the work to learn about versioning and also to bring in our customers' perspective. In this quadrant, you're Moana. You don't have the answer, but you're on a quest to find it, in spite of any self-doubts. I did this analysis for my conflict, and the answer was clear. I had to be like Olivia. I had to speak up with conviction. So I did. I set up time with Mike, and I told him. I told him how his email made me feel, how his behavior made me feel. And this was a rough conversation. It was awkward, it was nerve-wracking, but I kept going. After this conversation, the way Mike treated me changed. The dynamic of our relationship changed. But most importantly, how I saw this conflict changed. I realized by not speaking up, I had given this person a lot more power than they actually had. Walking out of that room, I remember thinking, why? Why did I wait so long to have this conversation? The next time you have a nagging feeling that you're avoiding a conflict, and you always know when you're doing it, stop. Make the conscious decision to engage. Your voice is your power. Your conviction is your power. And by shying away from conflict, you're giving all this power away. Be a fearless leader. Stand up for yourself. Stand up for your convictions, because if you won't, who will? Thank you.